Okay, so we have covered up to this point and we'll start from here. Okay, so what is a slope? Now, slope is at any section in a beam is defined as the angle in radians which the tangent at corresponding point makes with the axis of that particular beam is called as a slope. Let us consider we have some beam like this. Let us consider we are having some cantilever beam like this, and due to this particular loading, let us consider the loading is W kilonewton per meter. Okay, due to this loading, what may happen? This particular beam, this may deflect like this. This particular beam, this may deflect like this. Okay, now let us consider we take the slope of this particular beam at the end. We take the slope, or we take the tangent at this particular end. We draw a tangent at this particular end. Then this particular angle theta, let us consider this is B, this is A. Then this particular angle theta B, this is called as the slope of your beam. Slope of your beam. So slope is the angle in radians which the tangent at corresponding point makes with the original axis of your beam. So this is the original axis, okay, and this is the particular angle made by the tangent of the deflected beam. Okay, so this is called as a slope. Okay, I am taking only revision of what you have studied yet. Okay, so here you can see the basic difference between slope and deflection can be seen here. Here a simply supported beam is there, okay, and this particular simply supported beam is deflected due to this particular load. Okay, so slope here, if we draw a tangent like this at this support A, then the slope here it will be this particular angle. Let us consider this is theta A. So slope here will be theta A, whereas if we draw a tangent to this particular deflected shape of your beam or elastic curve of your beam, then this particular angle theta B, let us consider this is point B, then this theta B will be slope here. Okay, whereas if you see this particular vertical change in the position of this particular beam, this is called as deflection. This is called as deflection. Okay, so understand the basic difference between slope and deflection. Slope is the angle in radians made by the tangent drawn to the elastic curve with the horizontal axis, whereas deflection is the horizontal vertical change in the position of your beam. Okay, this is called as deflection. Now we have to consider different sign convention for clockwise and anti-clockwise slope. Okay, so if this uh, the deflection, or sorry, the change in position of your beam is in clockwise direction, for example for this theta A, if you see here we have the slope in clockwise direction. So the slope is, or the movement of your beam is in clockwise direction here. Therefore, we consider this particular slope as positive. That is, here theta A will be positive. Whereas if you see here theta B, the change in the position is in anti-clockwise direction. That is, the beam is deflecting like this. Okay. So therefore, we consider this theta B here, we consider it as a negative, or for anti-clockwise direction slope we consider negative. Okay, so this is anti-clockwise and this is clockwise. Okay, so for clockwise direction we consider the slope as positive, whereas for anti-clockwise direction we consider the slope as negative. And deflection of beam at any point on the axis of the beam is the vertical distance between the position before and after loading. Let us consider we are having some beam. Let us consider we have a beam AB, okay, and it is subjected to some uniformly distributed load as shown in this particular figure. Okay, due to this particular load, this particular beam, this will be deflecting like this. This is exaggerated shape. Okay, so deflection, this is the deflection here at center. Let us consider C. So this is the vertical distance between the position of this particular point C before and after the loading. Okay, so this will be the deflection of your beam. Okay. Now, what is the requirement of calculation of your slope? Okay, so first requirement is the to have psychological comfort to the occupants. Let us consider we are having some house like this, and okay, let us consider we are having some house like this, one ground story house is there, and this particular beam is deflecting by 150 mm. Okay, so okay, does the occupants of this particular house will consider the building is safe? No. Okay, they will have a psychological discomfort that there may be failure of your building, and therefore this calculation of slope becomes important. At the same time, sorry. Okay. Uh, So the second reason for calculation of this slope, it is to have aesthetic view, because if you are having a large deflection in your beam, which is as shown here, okay, what will happen? The aesthetic view of your building will be damaged. Okay, and the third point for calculation of your slope is to safeguard the flooring materials, doors and windows, because let us consider we are having some two-story building like this. Okay, let us consider we are having some two-story building like this, and if there is a large deflection like this, there will be some doors will be here. Okay, some windows will be there. Okay, due to this large deflection, what will happen? The brick material which is under this particular beam, this will be crushed, and just a minute. Yeah. This particular material below the beam, that is brick, this will be crushed, and ultimately what happens, it will be uh, damaging the windows and doors of your building. Okay, therefore calculation of deflection becomes very important. Okay, now we have seen the syllabus of advanced theory of structures. Now there are this is general points. Okay, which already you have already learned in your engineering mechanics. There are different types of supports are there. The first type of support is called as roller support, which is having only one reaction, that is vertical reaction. Okay, therefore it will be resisting the vertical loads only. The second type of support is called as a pinned support. Second type of support is called as a pinned support. Here in case of pinned support or hinge support, there will be two reactions will be there. The first one is vertical reaction and the second one is the horizontal reaction. Okay, therefore it will be resisting the horizontal as well as vertical reactions. Third type of load we are having is a fixed support. Now in case of fixed support, you can see here it is shown like this and the beam is like this. Okay, this may be like this. Okay, in case of fixed support, we will be having three reaction forces. The first one is vertical reaction. Okay, VA, let us consider horizontal reaction HA, and the moment or fixed end moment which will be acting like this. Okay, so three reactions will be there in case of fixed support, whereas if you are having some simple support, then there will be only one vertical reaction, only. Okay, I'll show pictures of these types of supports. Okay, now you can see here this picture shows a simply supported beam. This shows a a beam is simply supported here. You can see some column or pedestal is here. Here is some pedestal is here, and this particular girder of a bridge, it is just simply placed over this pedestal. This is just placed over this pedestal. Okay, so there is no direct connection between these two. Therefore this is a type of simple support. So what we are doing, we are just placing your beam over some column. There is no direct connection between these two. Only the surfaces are in contact. No steel reinforcement of this girder are embedded into the steel reinforcement of this column. Therefore, this is called as a simply supported beam, or this support is called as a simple support. Then we have roller type of support. Okay, in case of roller type of support, you can see here this is one of the roller type of support is provided, and it is provided generally in case of bridges. Okay, it is generally provided in case of bridges. Just a minute. Okay, so this type of roller support, these are generally provided for the bridges because we allow some uh, lateral movement of your girder at the bridge location. It depends upon the loading, how much is the intensity of loading. Okay, therefore we provide the roller support in case of bridges. Okay, then we have next type of support as a hinged support. You can see here in case of this particular hinged here, this is a hinged support. So what they have done, they have just inserted this type of hinge here, okay, so that this particular member of a truss, this can move in this direction, both the direction. Okay, this can move in both the directions. Okay, so this is an example of hinge support. Okay. Now, different types of loads are available there, okay, depending upon their action. So, first type of load is a point load. So, point load is a load which is acting at a single point only. This is called as a point load. Okay, let us consider we are having some beam is there. Okay, we are having some beam is there, and one person is standing here like this. So the load, whatever load is coming here on this particular beam, this will be a point load. Let us consider his weight is 50 kg. Okay, then the point load of 50 kg will be acting at this particular location on this particular beam. Okay, then we have uniformly distributed load. Okay, the intensity of load throughout the length of your beam will be uniform, therefore it is called as uniformly distributed load. Then we have triangular load. Here the intensity varies linearly from one end to other end. Okay, then we have trapezoidal load. The intensity varies linearly from one end to other end, but at the other end, the intensity it won't be zero. It won't be zero. Whereas the another type of load or force is a moment. Okay, is a moment. You can consider if we are applying some couple here. If we are applying some couple here like this, then some clockwise moment will be developed here. Then some clockwise moment will be developed here. Okay. All these points are already covered in your strength of materials or engineering mechanics or BTS. Okay. Now different types of structures are there. Okay. The first type of structure is a pin connected structure or the truss. So in this type of structure, the members are connected together by the use of hinges, okay, or at the nodes, whereas the loads are applied at the nodes only. Okay, so loads will be applied at the nodes like this only. So there will be no member forces. There will be no member forces in case of pin connected structures or trusses. Then we have rigid frames. Okay, this type of members are connected with each other. In this type of structure, the members are connected with each other by rigid joints, by using rigid joints. So what is a rigid joint? So these joints are the joints which are capable of axial forces as well as moments. Okay, so the joints which are capable of transferring axial forces and moments are considered as rigid joints. And in case of rigid frames, here the members of this frame are connected together by rigid joints. So you can consider, check here, this beam is one member and some columns are there. These members are connected with each other with the rigid joint. Okay, now we have, Now there are some basic principles of just a minute. Okay, now there are some basic principles of equilibrium are there. Okay. So first basic principle of structural analysis, the first principle of structural analysis is the equilibrium. Okay. So the first principle of structural analysis. Okay. So basic principles of structural analysis. There are three basic principles of structural analysis are there. The first one is equilibrium. The first one is equilibrium. Okay. So when a structure is subjected to some loads, then the loads and internal forces, whatever loads are there and whatever internal forces are developed in a structure, must be in equilibrium. Those must be in equilibrium. Now, if there is no equilibrium, then the structure will start to move from its original position, and obviously as a civil engineer we don't want movement of your structure. Okay, let us consider we are having some structure is there. Okay, and let us consider this particular structure is subjected to some horizontal loading. Okay, let us consider this is an earthquake load. This is an earthquake load. Okay, if there is no equilibrium reaction is provided by the structure, what will happen? This particular structure will move from position A to position B. ओके, दिस विल मूव फ्रॉम पोजीशन ए टू पोजीशन बी एंड आपको ऐसे चलेगा क्या कि आपका घर आज एक जगह पे था और कल सुबह उठे तो दूसरी जगह पे चला गया. दिस इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल. ओके, देयरफॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर कंडीशन ऑफ principle of structure analysis is equilibrium, that is whatever forces or loads, the loads which are acting on your structure and internal forces which are developed in your structure, those must be in equilibrium. Those must be in equilibrium. The second principle of structural analysis is kinematics. Now, in this principle of kinematics, the displacement in structure and strains developed in your structure due to loads that must be compatible, or that is that whatever displacement and strains are developed, that should be negligible in comparison with the other dimension of your structure. So the strain, strain and displacement displacement or deflection, this should be negligible, okay, as compared with the other dimensions of your structure. And the third principle of your structural analysis is stress strain compatibility. Okay, so what is this stress strain compatibility? Okay, you know the Hooke's law, that is stress is directly proportional to strain within elastic limit. This is only the stress strain compatibility, that this stress whichever develop in your material used in the structure, that must be directly proportional to the strain within elastic limits. Okay. Okay. So next point is idealization and assumptions. Idealizations and assumptions. Okay, so we know that we are constructing a structure using, let us consider we are constructing a structure by using RCC, that is a reinforced cement concrete. Okay, now in RCC we will be using lots of different materials. Okay, so we will be using steel, we will be using steel, we will be using concrete. Okay, we will be using steel and concrete. Okay, now this concrete is made from different materials such as fine aggregate are there, coarse aggregates are there, we have cement there. Okay, so all this what will be used, assuming is that, okay, so first assumption is idealization, that is will be assuming that material what we are using is homogeneous. This particular material we are using, this is homogeneous. So what is the homogeneous? It means the material has identical particles throughout the portion of your beam or columns, whatever structural members are there, the material has identical particles throughout. So this is first assumption. Then second, this particular material is isotropic. This particular material, this is isotropic. That is, what is the isotropic? Meaning of isotropic is the physical properties of your material, so physical properties or modulus of elasticity of your material are same in all the direction. That is, your modulus of elasticity Ex, this should be equal to Ey, this is equal to Ez. That is, the modulus of elasticity or elastic properties should be same in all the directions. Okay, this is the first assumption made for making your structure more idealized. Okay. Then regarding the type of just now, while modeling, what we'll be doing, we know that this particular beam, let us consider we are having some beam is there. This particular beam, this will be a three-dimensional structure. This will be three-dimensional structure. It will be having some length, it will be having some width, okay, it will be having some depth, okay. But for simplicity, what we'll be doing, we'll be considering this particular beam as a single one-dimensional element for analysis purpose. Okay, so this is an assumption that we'll be considering a beam as a sorry, two we will be considering the beam as a one-dimensional structure only. That is, we will be considering it as a linear element. Whereas if we are having if we are having some frame, then what will be do if we are having some multi-story three-dimensional frame? Okay, if we are having some multi-story three-dimensional frame like this. Okay, we are having some frame, multi-stories frame like this. So what we'll be doing, rather than solving this particular frame as a whole, what we'll be doing, we will take one frame. Let us consider this frame A is there. What we'll be doing, we'll take one frame A out of this, and then solve this particular frame. Okay, so this is another idealization that we will be doing while analyzing any structure. Okay, then next point is conditions of equilibrium. Now we know there are two conditions of equilibrium are there. The first one is sum of all forces about any point is zero. Okay, this is covered in your BTS or SOM or engineering mechanics itself. So summation of forces in x direction is equal to zero. summation of forces in y direction is equal to 0. So this is first condition of equilibrium, that is summation of forces in all the direction is 0. Whereas second condition is summation of moment about any point is equal to 0. Summation of moment of all the forces about any point is equal to 0. So these two conditions of equilibrium are there. Now in case of two-dimensional structure, in case of two-dimensional structure, we will be having three conditions of equilibrium. That is summation of forces in x direction is equal to 0, summation of forces in y direction is equal to 0, and summation of moment about any point is equal to 0. Whereas in case of three-dimensional structure, we will be having total six conditions of equilibrium. That is summation of forces in x direction is equal to 0, summation of forces in y direction is equal to 0, and summation of forces in z direction is equal to 0. Whereas summation of moment in x direction is equal to 0, summation of moment about y direction is equal to 0, and summation of moment about z direction is equal to 0. So in case of three-dimensional structure, we'll be having total six conditions of equilibrium, whereas in case of two-dimensional structure, we'll be having total three equations of equilibrium. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, next point is condition of compatibility. Condition of compatibility. Okay. So there are two conditions of compatibility there. So what is this particular term compatibility means? So compatibility condition is the requirement of continuity such as at a joint where two or more members meet. Okay. So what we'll be considering if we are having some frame like this, if we are having some frame like this. Okay. So these two members, this column and this particular beam, these two members are meeting here at this particular joint. So what our requirement is that there should be continuity in these two members which are meeting at this particular joint. Okay. So this is called as compatibility, that is the condition of continuity in the members meeting at the joint. There are two conditions of compatibility are there. The first one is the member meeting at a particular joint will continue to meet at that particular joint even after deformation takes place. Let us consider this particular frame is there, this particular frame is there, and it is subjected to some load. It is subjected to some load like this. Okay, so the deformed shape, so the deformed shape of this particular frame, this will be something like this. Okay, this will be something like this. Okay, so the deformed shape will be something like this due to application of this particular load. So these two members, this column and this particular beam will continue to meet at this particular joint, even after deformation takes place. This is the first condition of compatibility, and the second condition of compatibility is at any rigid joint, the angle between two members meeting at the same joint will remain same even after deformation takes place. Let us consider the same frame, and it is subjected to some vertically downward load. What will happen? This particular angle now it is 90 degree. This particular angle is 90 degree. After application of this particular load, what will happen? This particular frame, this will be there may sorry there may be some deflection in this particular beam, which may be something like this. Okay. So this particular angle will remain 90 degree even after the deformation takes place. So this is the second compatibility condition, that is at any rigid joint, the angle between two members meeting at a joint will remain same even after the deformation takes place. Even after the deformation takes place. So this is the condition of compatibility. This is the condition of compatibility. Two conditions are there. The first one is condition of continuity, that is at any joint the two members meeting at a joint will continue to meet at that particular joint even after the deformation takes place. And the second condition of compatibility is the angle between two members meeting at any rigid joint will continue to remain same even after the deformation takes place. Okay. Now we have next point. I'm just covering the point by point syllabus only. Okay. So the next point we are having is linear concept of linear and non-linear structure. Okay. So linear and non-linear structure. Okay, a system is called as a linear system if its material has a linear stress-strain relationship. Okay, a system is called as a linear system if the material which is used for construction of that particular system has a linear stress-strain relationship. You know that for steel we are having the stress-strain diagram like this. Okay. So we'll be considering a linear system if we are considering the stress strain relationship up to this point of linearity. Okay, then the structure will be considered as a linear. Okay, and a system will be considered as a non-linear system if the material does not have linear stress strain relationship, or the deformation whichever is produced due to application of load will make change in the geometry of that particular structure to a level which cannot be neglected. Then the structure will be considered as a non-linear structure or non-linear system. The next point is uh, statically determinate structure and statically indeterminate structure. Okay, I think this particular part is already covered in your basic theory of structure. So, do you know what is statically determinate structure and statically indeterminate structure? What is a statically determinate structure and a statically indeterminate structure? What is statically determinate structure and statically indeterminate structure? Anyone can answer.
Structure that can be solved with condition of equilibrium is called as statically determinate structure, and not solved by condition of equilibrium is called as indeterminate structure.
Yeah. When a structure can be completely solved by using available equations of equilibrium, that is called as statically determinate structure. Whereas if a structure cannot be solved by using conditions of equilibrium available, then it is called as statically indeterminate structure. Statically indeterminate structure. Let us consider we are having some beam is there. We are having some beam which is resting on at one end we are having some hinge support and other end we are having some roller support. So how many reactions will be there? We will be having one vertical reaction here at the hinge and one horizontal reaction at the hinge, one vertical reaction at the roller support. Now can we solve this particular beam by using equations of equilibrium. Now we know that there are three unknowns. There are three unknown reactions, and we have total equations of equilibrium are three. That is, summation of forces in x direction is equal to 0, summation of forces in y direction is equal to 0, and summation of moment about any point is equal to 0. Then we are having same number of equations of equilibrium and same number of unknowns. Then hence this particular beam will be statically determinate. This will be statically determinate. Whereas if you see another beam which is supported on two hinges at two ends A and B, then here there will be reaction, vertical reaction at this hinge. We'll be having one horizontal reaction here at this hinge. We'll be having vertical and horizontal reaction. So total number of unknowns, this will be equal to 4. That is 4 vertical and horizontal reaction. Whereas the total number of equations of equilibrium available are 3, and we can see here the unknowns are one unknown in more as compared with the equation of equilibrium, and hence this particular system is called as a statically indeterminate system. Statically indeterminate system. There are some advantages and disadvantages of this type of systems are there. Okay, we'll see which are the first advantage is that for statically determinate structure, the complete structure, in case of statically determinate structure, the complete structure can be solved by using three equations of equilibrium. Whereas in case of statically indeterminate structure, in case of just a minute, statically indeterminate and statically indeterminate. Okay, so this type of structure can be solved by using three equations of equilibrium, whereas statically indeterminate structure cannot be solved by using three equations of equilibrium only. Okay, generally whatever different type of structure we are going to see, those are mostly statically indeterminate structure. Those are mostly statically indeterminate structure. Okay, the next difference between the statically determinate and determinate structure is that now bending moment at any section of a member is independent of material whichever is used. So in case of statically determinate structure, material does not affect the bending moment or other forces, whereas in case of statically determinate structure, the bending moment and other forces depends on the material whichever used for that particular structure. Okay, now in case of statically determinate structure, no stresses are developed due to change in the temperature, whereas in case of statically indeterminate structure, there will be changes in the stresses will occur due to change in the temperature. Whereas, now there are two different terms are there. The first one is static degree of indeterminacy. Static degree of indeterminacy. Okay. So what is static degree of indeterminacy, or it is also called as degree of redundancy. It is also called as degree of redundancy. Okay, so what is degree of redundancy or degree of static degree of indeterminacy? It is the number of additional equations of equilibrium required to analyze any structure. Okay. Simply, it is the total number of equations of equilibrium required, additional equations of equilibrium required for analysis of any structure. Let us consider if we are having some, sorry, if we are having some beam like this, if we are having some beams like this, we'll be having three unknowns here, that is vertical reaction, horizontal reaction, and one vertical reaction at this point B. Okay, so total number of unknown reactions are 3, whereas equations of equilibrium we are having are 3 for two-dimensional structure. Therefore, total number of additional equations of equilibrium required for analyzing this particular beam, that will be this U, or let us consider this, will consider this as R, or reaction. This will be equal to R minus E, sorry, this will be R minus E. So this is the static degree of indeterminacy is equal to R minus E for beams, and this is equal to 3 minus 3 is equal to 0. So for this particular beam, the static degree of indeterminacy will be 0. Simply, static degree of indeterminacy is the additional equation of equilibrium required for solving any system. Okay. Now let us consider another example. Let us we have one beam which is resting on two hinge support as shown in this particular figure B. Let us consider this is figure B. So reactions are one vertical reaction here at this hinge A, horizontal reaction at this hinge B will again have one vertical and horizontal reaction. Okay, so total number of unknowns, here we have two unknowns, here we have two unknowns. So total number of unknown reaction are is equal to 4, whereas equations of equilibrium available, these are only 3. Therefore degree of static indeterminacy represented by ds, this will be equal to r minus e, so we have 4 minus 3. So degree of static indeterminacy here, it will be 1, it will be 1. Okay, now let us consider another example of one fixed beam. Let us consider another example of one fixed beam like this. Here total unknowns will be one vertical reaction. Let us consider A and B. Here at A will have three unknowns, that is one vertical reaction will be there, one horizontal reaction will be there, and one fixed end moment will be there. At this end B again will be having one vertical reaction, one horizontal reaction, and one fixed end moment. Okay, so total unknowns here at end A are 3 and total unknown reaction at end B are 3. Therefore, total reaction, unknown reaction are total 3 plus 3, that is equal to 6. Whereas the total equations of equilibrium available, these are only 3. Therefore, the degree of static indeterminacy will be equal to R minus E. This is the formula, R minus E. So this is equal to 6 minus 3. This is equal to 3. So here in case of this particular fixed beam, we will be having degree of static indeterminacy is equal to 3 only. Okay. Now let us consider another example of one continuous beam. Let us consider one example of one continuous beam which is supported like this. Okay. Now here you can see there will be two reactions at this end A. Here we will be having vertical reaction and horizontal reaction, whereas at point B and C there will be only vertical reactions. Okay, so total unknown reactions for this particular continuous beam, this will be equal to 4. This will be equal to 4, and equations of equilibrium available are only 3, that is summation of forces in x direction equal to 0, summation of forces in y direction equal to 0, and summation of moment about any point is equal to 0. Okay, so degree of static indeterminacy for this particular case, this will be equal to reaction total unknown reactions minus equations of equilibrium available. So this will be equal to 4 minus 3. So degree of static indeterminacy for this particular beam, this will be equal to 1 only. Okay. Now let us consider another example. Okay, let us take another example of one continuous beam again. Okay, let us consider we are having some beams like this. We are having some beam like this, and support conditions are as shown here. And one hinge is provided here. One hinge is provided here. One hinge is provided here. Now here the total number of unknown there will be one reaction like this, one horizontal reaction like this. Sorry, here it will be a roller support. This will be a roller. Just a minute. Here we'll be having a roller support. Okay. So total reactions will be like this. Here again we'll be having one reaction. So total number of unknown reactions are 1, 2, 3 and 4. So total number of unknown reaction R is equal to 4. If you have in this particular case equations of equilibrium available, these are summation of forces in x direction is equal to 0, summation of forces in y direction is equal to 0, summation of moment about any point is equal to 0, and one additional equation of equilibrium will be available, that is summation of moment about this particular hinge, that is at point D, this will be equal to 0. So total number of equations of equilibrium for this particular case, this will be equal to 4. Okay, therefore degree of static indeterminacy here, it will be R minus E, and this will be 4 minus 4, so this is equal to 0. So for this particular beam, the degree of static indeterminacy will be 0. Okay, so this is a statically determinate structure. Okay. Why it became statically determinate? Because of this additional hinge which is provided here. Okay. Again, let us consider another example of some beam. We are having some beam like this. We are having one hinge here, again one vertical, again one beam hinge here, and again this type of beam is available, and we have to determine the degree of static indeterminacy for this particular beam. Let us consider we have A, B, C and D. Okay. Generally we don't have a structural system like this in civil engineering. This is mostly this type of system will be there in mechanical engineering. Okay, but just for understanding we'll take this example. Okay, so here total number of reactions, this will be equal to 4. Okay, just a minute. Sorry, one more uh, sorry, one more support will be here. We'll be having one more support like this, roller support. Okay, so here total number of unknown reactions, this will be one, this vertical reaction, horizontal reaction, one vertical reaction here at roller support, one vertical reaction at D and one horizontal reaction at D. So total number of unknown reaction will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So total number of unknown reactions are 5. Whereas total number of equations of equilibrium. So we have equations of equilibrium as summation of forces in x direction equal to 0, summation of forces in y direction is equal to 0, summation of moment about any point equal to 0, and in addition to that we'll be having two additional equations of equilibrium. Here at this hinge B, summation of moment at this point B, this is equal to 0, and at this hinge C we will have summation of moment about this joint C is equal to 0. So summation of moment at B equal to 0, summation of moment at C equal to 0. So we will have total 5 number of equations of equilibrium, and hence degree of static indeterminacy for this case, this will be R minus E, and this will be 5 minus 5, this is equal to 0. So this is how the degree of static indeterminacy is determined for the beams, whereas there is some different procedure is there for determining the degree of static indeterminacy in case of rigid frames. Okay, in case of rigid frames. Okay, what is a rigid frame? A frame or a structural system in which the members of that particular structural system are connected with each other by using a rigid joint, Okay, and then what is a rigid joint? Rigid joint is a joint which does not undergo any type of deformation, or if two members are meeting at this particular rigid joint, then even after loading, if the loading is even after loading, if deformed shape is like this, okay, if deformed shape is like this, then this particular angle, this does not change, it will remain. If it is previously it is 90 degree, then this particular angle will be 90 degree only. This angle will be constant even after deformation. This type of joint is called as a rigid joint. Generally, our RCC structure, in case of RCC structure, we will be considering all the joints are rigid joints. All the joints are rigid joints. So in case of frames with rigid jointed frames, the degree of static indeterminacy, there are two degree of indeterminacy will be there. This degree of static indeterminacy, this will be the sum of degree external degree of this will be sum of external degree of static indeterminacy plus internal degree of static indeterminacy. Internal degree of static indeterminacy. So what is this external and internal degree of static indeterminacy? Will see. Okay. So this total static degree of indeterminacy, this is equal to external static degree of indeterminacy and internal static degree of indeterminacy. Let us consider we are having some frame like this. Let us consider we are having some frame like this. Okay. Now in this particular frame, we can see here, we are having some, here we will be having some roller load support. Okay, here total number of reaction component, this will be one vertical reaction, one horizontal reaction at A, and one vertical reaction at B. So total number of, okay, here we can see this type of reactions will be developed, and this external static degree of indeterminacy, this is given by this external static degree of indeterminacy, this is given by total unknown reaction minus equations of equilibrium. So this is equal to total unknown reactions. Here are three unknown reactions. So 3 minus equations of equilibrium available are 3. So external degree of static indeterminacy in this case, this will be equal to 0. But the internal static indeterminacy will also be there. This internal static indeterminacy DSI, this is given by the formula 3a. This is given by the formula 3a. Okay. So this 3a, in this 3a term, A is the total number of areas of your frame completely enclosed by the frame members. Total number of areas of your frame completely enclosed by the frame members. You can see here this particular area is completely enclosed by the members, and this particular area is completely enclosed by member. So we have two areas which are completely enclosed by the members on all the sides, whereas this particular area is not enclosed in this side, therefore this will not be considered as a term. So we'll have a, in this particular case, a is equal to 2, therefore DSI, that is degree of static indeterminacy internal, this will be equal to 3 into 2, so this is equal to 6. So this is how we calculate the static degree of internal indeterminacy and total static degree of indeterminacy T, or total ds, the static degree of indeterminacy, this will be equal to DSE, degree of external static indeterminacy, plus degree of internal static indeterminacy. So this will be equal to 0 plus 6. So total static degree of indeterminacy will be 6 for this particular frame. We will see one another example. Okay, let us consider we are having some frame like this. we are having some frame like this. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, so ये point कैसा support answer
एक मिनिट
ये point of support
एक मिनिट लेट मी सी वरच्या ह्याच्यात का
हो sir.
एक जस्ट अ मिनिट okay I considered that as a fixed okay no problem I take this again just a minute this will be changed now okay I actually I was considering this as a hinge support but I draw means while thinking I considered this as a hinge support but I drawn by mistake a fixed support but not an issue we consider it as a fixed support only okay so in addition to this vertical and horizontal reaction we'll be having one fixed moment here so degree of static external static indeterminacy this will be equal to R minus E. Here total number of reaction components or reactions will be this one horizontal reaction, this vertical reaction, this moment will be there third, this vertical reaction, sorry, this vertical reaction at B. So total number of R will be equal to 4 whereas equations of equilibrium available are 3 therefore this particular equation degree of static indeterminacy this will be equal to 4 minus 3 so this will be equal to 1 and this total degree of static indeterminacy this will become okay this will be not be 0 here it will be 1 here okay it will be 1 here and total degree of static indeterminacy this will be equal to 7 for this case okay even if you consider some hinge here then this will be 6 only okay so this is how we calculate the static degree of indeterminacy for the rigid frames now let us consider is it okay okay let us consider this second frame here the term a is the total number of portion or areas of your frame which are completely enclosed by the members in this particular frame you can see here these two areas are only this is first area and this is second area these two areas are completely enclosed by the members whereas these areas are not completely enclosed by the members okay therefore we'll calculate the static degree of indeterminacy for this particular case now for this particular case okay for this particular case okay we'll be having three reaction components at each support that is one vertical reaction one horizontal reaction and one moment we'll again have one vertical one horizontal and one moment at this support again at third support we'll have again one vertical one horizontal and one moment so total number of unknown reaction components here it will be three here 3 again here and 3 reaction component here so total reaction components will be 9 here okay equations of equilibrium available are 3 only equations of equilibrium available are 3 and we know degree of static external indeterminacy DSE is equal to R minus E so this will become 9 minus 3 so static degree of external indeterminacy this will be equal to 6 okay in addition to this as it is a rigid frame we'll have some internal degree of static indeterminacy also so internal degree of static indeterminacy this is given by DSI is equal to 3 into A. Here A is the term which means that total areas of your frame which are completely enclosed by the members of your frame. So here we have this first area is completely enclosed by this column, this beam, this column, this beam. Okay. Whereas we have again second area this second area is there which is completely enclosed by the members of your frame. So we have only two areas which are completely enclosed by the members of your frame. So here we will have this A term is equal to 2. Therefore degree of static internal indeterminacy, this will be equal to 3a, that is 3 into 2, so this is equal to 6. So this is the static degree of external indeterminacy, this is the static degree of internal indeterminacy, and the total degree of indeterminacy, that is T, or let us consider ds, this will be equal to dse, that is static degree of external indeterminacy, plus dsi, that is static degree of internal indeterminacy. So we have dse is equal to 6, we have calculated earlier, and dsi is equal to again 6. So 6 plus 6, this will be equal to total degree of static indeterminacy for this particular frame, this will be 12. We'll see one another example. Okay, it will be clear to you. Let us consider we are having a frame like this. Let us consider we are having some frame like this. Here we have to calculate the total degree of static indeterminacy ds. So total degree of static indeterminacy is given by dse, static degree of external indeterminacy, and dsi, that is static degree of internal indeterminacy. Okay, we will take only two example and then we will stop. Okay, now this dse is given by the formula r minus e, where r is the total number of unknown reactions. Here total number of unknown reactions will be like this, that is three unknown reaction here, that is vertical reaction, horizontal reaction, and one fixed end moment. Again at this point b will have vertical reaction, horizontal reaction, and one fixed end moment, that is three unknowns here. So total unknown reaction components will be this 3 plus this 3, this will be equal to 6. Okay, and total number of equations of equilibrium available are 3, therefore this this will be dse, that is degree of external static indeterminacy, this will be equal to r minus e, that is 6 minus 3, this will be equal to 3. So we got the dse is equal to 3, whereas this dsi, here dsi, that is degree of static internal indeterminacy, this is equal to formula for a rigid frame is 3a. Formula for calculating the static degree of internal indeterminacy is 3a, where this a is the term which indicates that total areas of your frame which are completely enclosed by the members of your frame. Here you can see zero areas are completely enclosed by the members of frame, because it is this particular frame is open at the bottom, and therefore here a will be equal to 0. Therefore static degree of indeterminacy, internal indeterminacy, this is equal to 3 into 0, this is equal to 0, and total degree of static indeterminacy ds or t is equal to, we have this dse plus dsi, so this is equal to, we have dse is equal to 3, okay, plus dsi equal to 0. Okay, so this total degree of static indeterminacy will be equal to 3 for this particular case. Again we'll see one another example. Let us consider we are having some frame like this. Now, for this case, we have to calculate the total degree of static indeterminacy. Total degree of static indeterminacy. Now we know that total degree of static indeterminacy T or ds, this is equal to degree of external static indeterminacy plus internal static degree of indeterminacy. First we'll calculate DSE, that is degree of external degree of static indeterminacy. We know this is equal to R minus E, where R is equal to total number of unknown reaction. We have total 3 unknown reactions at each support here. Okay, like this. We'll be having 3 unknown reactions here, 3 unknown reaction here, 3 unknown reactions here, and 3 unknown reactions here. Therefore, total R is equal to 4 into 3. This is equal to 12. Whereas equations of equilibrium available are only 3. That is summation of forces in x direction equal to 0, summation of forces in y direction equal to 0, and summation of moment at any point is equal to 0. Therefore this term dse, this will be equal to this term dse, this will be equal to 12 minus 3, so this will be equal to 9. So dse is equal to 9. Now we have to calculate the dsi, that is static degree of internal indeterminacy. We have formula for rigid frames. dsi is equal to 3a, where this a term is the total number of areas of your frame which are completely enclosed by the members of your frame. We have this first area is completely enclosed, second area is completely enclosed, third area is completely enclosed, and this fourth area is completely enclosed. Therefore we have, for this particular case, a is equal to 4, a is equal to 4. Therefore this dsi, this will be equal to 3 into 4, so this is equal to 12, and total static degree of indeterminacy T or ds is equal to dse plus dsi. So this will become 9 plus 12, so this is equal to 21. Okay, so total degree of static indeterminacy for this particular case will be 21. Okay,